So you feel like your attention's been stolen, right? Well, you're not wrong. But look, knowing there's a problem is one thing. Having an actual plan to fight back, that's something else entirely. Think of this as the training manual for a practical rebellion. Today, we are diving deep into Cal Newport's blueprint for radical lifestyle re-engineering, digital minimalism.
Just let this quote from commentator Andrew Sullivan sink in for a second. It really captures the high stakes here, doesn't it? It's that feeling of being an information addict, just constantly bombarded until you barely even recognize yourself anymore. And if that hits home for you, you really need to know you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not some kind of personal failing. It's a designed outcome.
So you might be wondering, why do all this simple fixes, turning off notifications or trying a digital Sabbath, why do they so often fail? Well, because as Newport argues, we're fighting a completely lopsided arms race. These technologies, these apps, they are crafted by geniuses to exploit our own psychology. Just trying to resist them with sheer willpower, it's like bringing a butter knife to a drone fight. It's just not going to work. You need a completely new strategy.
All right, so here's our training schedule. First, we're going to lay down the core philosophy. Then we'll get into the weeds of the 30-day declutter protocol. And after that, we'll cover how to rediscover solitude, find high-quality leisure, and finally, win back real conversation. Let's be super clear about something right up front. This is not about a collection of little life hacks or tips. This is about installing a completely new operating system for how you interact with the digital world. It's a philosophy you actually live by, not just some trick you try for a week and then forget. The real power in Newport's definition is just how precise it is. The key phrases to lock onto are carefully selected, strongly support things you value, and, my personal favorite, happily miss out on everything else. This completely flips the script on FOMO, the fear of missing out, and turns it into JOMO, the joy of missing out. This whole philosophy really rests on three core pillars. First, clutter is costly. Every single app, every account you have, it nibbles away at your time and your attention. Second, optimization is important. It's not enough to say, oh, Facebook is valuable to me. You have to define exactly how you're going to use it to get that value and nothing more. And third, intentionality itself is satisfying. The very act of choosing how you engage, of being in control, that is deeply, deeply rewarding. Okay, so now we move from the philosophy to the practical battle plan. This is the most aggressive tactic, and according to Newport, the most effective one. It's called the Digital Declutter. This is your 30-day reset.
Yep, 30 days.
This is not a weekend detox. It's a full month. And that length is absolutely critical. It's long enough to actually break those addictive cycles, to starve the cravings, and to give you the mental space to figure out what you truly value, without all the constant digital noise. The protocol is a strict three-step process. First up, you have to define what's optional tech for you. Anything you can step away from without, getting fired or causing a major family crisis. Second, you spend those 30 days actively rediscovering things you enjoy in the real, analog world. And this last part is so crucial. In step 3, you don't just turn everything back on. No way. You start from a totally blank slate, and you only let a tool back into your life if it serves a deep, important value and passes your strict new standards. Now, after you've cut out all the digital noise, you're going to face a completely new challenge: silence. It's kind of weird, but we've become so unaccustomed to just being alone with our own thoughts that it can feel, terrifying. This next part is all about learning how to turn that silence into your superpower.
Newport has a name for this: solitude deprivation. And it's a uniquely modern problem. I mean, think about it. A few decades ago, solitude was just part of life. You'd be waiting in line, walking down the street. It was unavoidable. But now, every single spare moment is filled with input from somewhere else. And without that solitude, we lose the ability to work through hard problems, to process our emotions, and to build a really stable sense of who we are.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? The promise of constant connection actually delivered the exact opposite of what we all hope for. Instead of making our lives richer, it's created this shallow, frantic way of being that just degrades our ability to live a deep and meaningful life.
Look, you can't just remove hundreds of hours of mindless scrolling from your life and leave a giant vacuum. If you do, you'll inevitably just slide right back into your old habits. You have to fill that void with something better. And that brings us to the art of reclaiming high-quality leisure.
So there's this huge difference, right? Low-quality leisure is just passive consumption. It's easy,
Yeah, but it leaves you feeling more tired than when you started. But high-quality leisure, well, it's active. It's often demanding. It requires effort. You're learning a skill, building something, engaging in a real event. But instead of draining you, it leaves you feeling energized and deeply satisfied.
Newport offers 3 key lessons for this. First, prioritize effort over ease. Second, use your hands and your skills to create something tangible, something real. The satisfaction you get from that is just primal. And finally, seek out real-world social activities that have rules and a shared goal. Think of a team sport, a board game night, or maybe a volunteer group.
All right, we're on the final front of our rebellion now. This is all about reclaiming our social lives from that shallow world of digital pings and rebuilding real, actual human interaction.
We have to be really honest with ourselves here. Digital connection is a low-bandwidth, pale imitation of the real thing. It's a like. It's a quick comment. Conversation, on the other hand, is high bandwidth. It requires eye contact, tone of voice, body language, all the nuance that actually builds relationships. 1,000 likes will never, ever equal one deep face-to-face conversation.
It's so essential to reframe this whole thing. Digital minimalism is not about deprivation. It's not about what you're losing. It is an act of gaining back your time, your focus, your energy, your very sense of agency in your own life. And that right there, that brings us to the ultimate reward. The deepest satisfaction doesn't just come from having more free time. It comes from the feeling of living a life of intention, a life that's designed by you, for you, not by some algorithm in Silicon Valley.
Now, this entire training manual is based on Cal Newport's really powerful book, Digital Minimalism. If you're ready to go even deeper on all these tactics and the philosophy behind them, this is your foundational text.
So, let's end with this question. For you, the goal of this rebellion isn't just to be free from distraction, but to be free for something. Once you reclaim your attention from those who stole it, the real work, the exciting work begins. So what will you do with it?